So this is a bit of a tough video to make because it involves something with human nature that's really unfortunate. I got a call yesterday that my friend, he was downgrading and selling his RTX 3090 in person and he got robbed. Yep, I'm not talking about MSRP robbing or whatever you may think when you buy a GPU. I'm talking about physically robbed of this GPU. I'm going to tell you what happened and what lessons we can learn from this, but definitely very unfortunate. Hey guys, Tiago with Classical Technology here. So let's talk about exactly what happened. So yesterday was the launch of Intel CPU and I was busy sort of messing around with the new 12900K. And when I was doing my build, I got a very unfortunate phone call. One of my friends was downgrading his RTX 3090. So no, the first thing off the bat, he's not a scalper. He basically just had a 3090 that he was able to get, the only GPU that he was able to get a few weeks ago. And recently he got a much cheaper GPU, which is really what he needs. So he decided to, get rid and downgrade that RTX 3090. Just so you're aware of the background to the story. So he put it up. This was actually on Facebook Marketplace. And now this is New York City. So definitely a lot of people and a lot more dangerous things that can happen. But generally, you really don't expect these type of things to happen. Generally, if you're used to the PC and the hobby community, everybody tries to, support each other and be excited about their hobbies. So it's definitely something that's really shocking when it happens. So anyway, he set up to meet this person in order to sell him the 3090. And this is an RTX 3090. This is going to be the Aorus Xtreme. So if anybody lives in the New York City area, or if you happen to see it for sale, there are definitely a lot for sale. But if you see a sketchy one from New York City, this is what the GPU was. And they plan to meet sort of in a public location. So that way, at least it's a little bit safer. And I know hindsight is 2020. He should have gone to like a police station or a bank like many people suggested. But once again, he's not really used to selling these GPUs. He's just really a passionate gamer. He's not a scalper, so he doesn't know all these little safety measures that you should have done. So he just met the guy sort of in a public location. And then this is what happened, which is actually pretty shocking. So then he meets up with the guy, and of course you couldn't really see what his face was because everybody wears the mask nowadays. So he meets up with him, and then he has the GPU sort of there, like right by his side. The guy hands him an envelope, and then, my friend goes to get the envelope. As he starts to open it up to be able to check, to make sure that it's the right amount that they agreed for, he starts to see that it's a little bit funny. It's not actual money. It seems to be like some type of fake money or newspapers like cut up in there. So as soon as he starts to see that, the guy grabs the GPU and he just runs really fast out of the way. Now, he didn't even have time to react or to be able to get to him. Imagine a situation where, you show up, even if you're holding it in your hand, you got to sort of put it down so you can get the envelope and first check it. He was trying to do the right thing, but then the guy just grabbed his GPU, snatched it, and started running really fast. Now, my friend was smart. He didn't chase him at all, because who knows, if you chase him, it could be a whole other altercation. Now, the guy, as far as he saw, he didn't threaten him with like a weapon or something like that. But once again, this is New York City, so you never know. That could have been something, the plan B, if the the snatching and the running didn't work. So it was smart of my friend not to give chase. It's better just to let the guy go. And the guy went really fast. He was not going to catch him anyway. And he went into some sort of an area where maybe there could have been more people. My friend could have gotten jumped or something like that. So it was smart for him. He sort of went away, got back in his car, called the cops, explained everything that happened. And, unfortunately, it's always hard to track these people down that do it, because it's, even if you have, a number may be fake, the profile was fake, so it's not like you're really going to be able to go after it. In many cases, I don't know if Facebook Marketplace would be able to check and try to, find the guy. I'm not too sure in New York City how much they're going to really be, motivated to go after these type of crimes, even though it is, very serious crime. It's a really expensive GPU, and he just snatched it out of his hands and gave him the envelope with the, it's not exactly counterfeit or fake money, but it was some type of like newspapers or something like that cut up to look like money. So at least in the moment, for those few seconds, you would think you actually got money as you start to count it. Some people are very trusting. They're not going to, sort of think the other person's going to do this to them. It's something that happens very rarely, especially if you're a trusting person like my friend is. He wasn't really expecting this, and he doesn't have that much experience selling. So now he's out a, $2,000 plus GPU that, he was looking to to get money for to, be able to make up for the cheaper one that he has. He wanted to get other things for his build. Now, this is, extremely, extremely unfortunate, and you really can't think how awful it is for somebody to just snatch a GPU, even if it was worth $20, for them to just snatch it, run away. Very, very unfortunate, and who knows if he'll ever get caught or if something will come of it. It's certainly unfortunate, and at least we can take away many different lessons. Now, I did post this on Reddit yesterday. I wanted to post it on a few different places in case people saw this GPU for sale. My assumption is the guy would probably hold it for a few days and then maybe try to sell it somewhere. Who knows what would happen, but it is an RTX 3090 Aorus Xtreme. It's a very extremely expensive GPU, but even the price aside, just the very action. Think about how my friend feels. He was just trying to downgrade his GPU. He got something cheaper. He was going to use that money for other stuff, and other stuff in his build. So certainly very, very unfortunate. So what lessons can we take from this? Obviously, my friend is very upset. He blames himself. He thinks he should have just sold it on eBay or something like that. It's not really his fault. We can never really blame the victim in this case because really it's the person that grabbed the GPU and ran. Now, a lot of comments that people said, these are some of the things that maybe, and him as well, in hindsight, said that he should have done. I guess, first, even though he did go to a public place, it's like nobody's around that's really going to help you. So it's better to go to a place that's even more secure with a lot of cameras. For example, like a lot of people will mention a bank, even inside or outside a bank. That way, if you do get paid, especially in New York City, there are many banks, maybe you can go in, put the money in an ATM and check if it's real so you don't have any of those issues. Of course, the second most popular spot, something like a police station, because at least if something happens, the police are right there and they'll be able to, maybe have cameras and catch the guy a little faster. Now, in this case, the police actually did come really, really fast, but of course, by that time, he sort of, went wherever he went in the neighborhood there. And I don't think for this type of crime, they're actually going to like knock on doors and give chase like it's a massive manhunt. So that's what makes it a little bit, trickier. But if it was something like a police station, perhaps it would have been a little bit easier to track him down, especially with cameras or something like that. And I guess other areas, if it's, a little bit safer area, safer neighborhood, maybe in front of like a large department store, something like that has a lot of cameras, certainly that could be, considerably safer than doing it sort of in a neighborhood where, not as many people around, not as, even though it's still a public area, it's still not those different areas. So that's the first lesson. I guess the second thing you could say, maybe don't deal in person. Now, the drawback to this is that even especially with these GPUs, especially if you sell it on eBay or something like that, you still have, a high likelihood in some cases of actually getting scammed. Somebody could say they didn't receive it or didn't receive the right one, even if you do like, tracking with signature confirmation. So you definitely have to protect yourself there. I've heard of stories of people, receiving the GPU and then they send something else back that's a different serial number or maybe broken. So definitely a lot of those sketchy things can happen. So you do have those drawbacks. That's why sometimes people prefer to deal in person because they'll actually have the physical product and they'll be able to get the funds immediately. But these things happen if you're in person, and you could say that it is a little bit more dangerous because imagine if the guy didn't just want to snatch his GPU, wanted to rob him or beat him up or something like that. It could have been a lot worse. And thankfully, he didn't get any physical harm or anything like that. But still, it's extremely disappointing. And it's like, what else can you do in a situation like that the guy is going to grab your GPU and run? It doesn't make sense to run after him, even if you're fast, because that's, that could escalate into something you're not really prepared for. Like if there are weapons involved or something like that, it's not worth any physical harm over a GPU, even one as expensive as an RTX 3090. It really just isn't. So I don't know what else I would suggest. Maybe instead of selling to complete strangers, sell to somebody that maybe has a lot of feedback. I mean, like on Reddit, sometimes you can actually see, or even on eBay, if you do a local pickup, at least you can see that it's a legitimate person that's not likely to rob you. But do remember, there can be fake accounts. People will build up good feedback and, appear to be good, but behind the scenes, they could really be, just trying to trick you or something like that. But at least if you know a community of gamers and things like that, if you sell to a friend, like for example, I have another friend that I know, often will sell parts to each other. Sometimes he'll get something cool that he doesn't need and I'll buy it. That way it's a lot safer because you trust the person and they're not just going to flat out rob you in the middle of the street, which is something that you wouldn't expect of almost anybody anyway. But Certainly, it does happen, and then what are you supposed to do in those situations? I still don't think you should blame the victim because nobody should be just snatching people's GPUs and running. Of course, you could say he could be more careful. You could say that's a high-ticket item. You should take as many precautions as you could. And, he was perhaps a little bit naive in the way that he sold it. He should have been a little bit more careful, especially around New York City, which is a very highly populated city. You have people of all types, good and bad. So it's definitely an area that you have to keep your guard up, I think, probably a lot more than in different areas. And actually, the timing of this is really weird because recently I saw an article that an EVGA truck out in California was actually robbed and pallets of GPUs were stolen. So nowadays, that these GPUs command such tremendous pricing, you can see the scalper market, you can see sort of even the MSRP prices, they definitely have garnered the attention of some unsavory people that are willing to do this. There's nothing that has as high a value, and it's a very small item. If you think about it, a GPU you can hold in one hand. Even a big RTX 3090, it's really not that heavy. You can hold it in one hand and run. It's not like it's a big computer full of water cooling that's expensive. That's 100 pounds that nobody would be able to easily walk away with. This is a very small item. In that case, in the EVGA truck that was stolen, I mean, you're talking about like pallets of GPUs. That's certainly a completely different scenario. That probably takes a lot of guts and planning on the part of the perpetrators, but still, it doesn't matter how big it is or how small the theft is, it's still theft. You really steal the sense of security away from people. And even though in that case was EVGA, which is a large corporation, compared to, my friend, which is just an individual, it still doesn't make it any better or any worse. It's wrong in both ways. We have ways in the world to get stuff legitimately by hard work, being able to work up to get stuff. So there really is no point in doing these type of activities. So very, very unfortunate. And it kind of shows you sort of the dark turn that even PC gaming has been, taken recently. Because you got to remember, all those people wanting to get GPUs and they can't, causing this sort of fervor in the market, causing sort of the scalper uproar. That's really going to catch not only the regular enthusiasts that would generally be wanting to buy these GPUs, you're attracting all sorts of people that would have never ever been interested in this type of activity before, until the GPUs became really, really valuable, much more valuable than their MSRP price was. And by the way, he was selling it for the exact MSRP that he bought it for. He just wanted to get rid of it, get the price that he bought it for, and be able to just stay with his a little bit lower end GPU. He didn't really need a 3090, just ran too hot, too much power draw. He plays on like a 1080p monitor, just a little bit overkill, but at the time it was the GPU that he was able to get. Please be careful out there. I know it's a very fun hobby having PC gaming. Even during the shortage, somehow we managed to keep going, but we want to avoid these situations from happening. So remember to subscribe, have some more videos coming up soon. Remember to smash that like button, and I'll see you guys on the next video.